So today's podcast is by special request, but it's actually a request I get a lot. What is your favorite animal here at Big Cat Rescue? And when you're working with cats, it's not like when you have a dog and you can raise it and it's going to love you unconditionally. The cats are kind of finicky and they pick you. So I guess the cat at a Big Cat Rescue that has picked me the most or likes me the best is Nikki Lion. Nikki's actually been here for several years now, and when Nikki arrived, she was actually a confiscation from a drug dealer. And we've heard several different stories about Nikki's background, that she lived in a basement, that she was chained up. No matter what it was, she was kept in terrible conditions, and she was confiscated by the police. When Nikki got here, she was probably about 50 to 60 pounds underweight. She had huge growths or huge tumors on her elbows, and those were called hygromas. And that's a condition where fluid builds up, mostly in dogs, but it can happen to any animal, and it builds up because they're kept on a hard surface. And when they're not getting the proper nutrition, their joints don't develop well. All this fluid develops just to give them a cushion against that hard surface. So we're pretty confident that Nikki was indeed kept on concrete. She was taken by the police to the Nashville Zoo, and of course zoos have different criteria for what animals they take. They're mostly not rescue sanctuaries, so they had no place for Nikki. She had been declawed. Bless you. She had been declawed, she was not very healthy, so she didn't have a place in their pride of lions, and of course nobody knew anything about Nikki's background. After a great diet, a lot of exercise, and much love, Nikki's growths went away. She was able to run and play, and she actually grew up to be one of the biggest lionesses I have ever seen in my life. Right, Nick? And of all the people here, volunteers or staff, Nikki seems to just have some kind of affinity for me. And I hope it's not because I remind her of the drug dealer that she lived with. Hopefully that I'm the opposite. But she's always kind of liked me, and of course I have a very fond place in my heart for Nikki Lion. She is absolutely my baby, and I'm so glad she's here at the sanctuary. Just because Nikki likes me, however, does not mean I would go in the cage or even interact with her. She is still a full-grown lioness, and even though she doesn't have her claws, she definitely has her teeth, and she is a very dangerous animal. And I'm actually going to show you how I feed Nikki Lion and give her some chicken and just show you guys how aggressive and how ugly a lioness can be, even though she's nice to me any other time. So let's go take a look. Now Nikki, you came here in 2001 when she was pretty young, so we know she's about 8 or 9 years old, and she is a very typical lion, so she doesn't want anyone messing with her food. So even just Chris with the camera over there is enough to kind of really get her going. So we're going to have Chris go around and film from the other side, and then you guys will get to see just how Nikki eats and how much she likes her chicken. So Nikki, we got a pretty tight routine of how I feed Nikki. I don't want to keep her waiting. She is going to get irritated. There. Hey, big girl. Pop ball. There you go, baby. Now I always stay back a little bit. I have my bucket between myself and Nikki, and I'm just going to put this chicken through and drop it on her block. Okay, so we're going to leave Nikki to her meal. We don't want to disturb her too much. That is not any part of what feeding time is here at Big Cat Rescue. It's a good time for these guys. So a few more facts about Nikki. Chicken is her favorite food. One of her other favorite foods are whole turkeys, and she will consume the whole thing, bones and all. She's not a big fan of red meat. She does eat our prepared diet a little bit, but she's pretty picky. Chicken's definitely her best favorite food in the world. Nikki grew up without seeing other lions. She was raised without her siblings, most likely, so she does not like other lions. We do have a male lion in the adjoining enclosure down there with a female lion and 2 tigers, and she does not like him in any way. Nikki will tolerate the tigers. She's always had tiger neighbors, so she doesn't mind them as much, but she does not like that male lion. We had 2 opportunities to introduce Nikki to a lioness in the past. One was a much larger female, Sarabi, who unfortunately passed away from cancer, and they both sort of weren't very good socially, so they were not a good mix. We also had a much younger lioness, and her name was Maya, and she had some brain damage, she had seizures, so she was actually not a good match either for Nikki, who's a little bit rough and tumble, and they may have ended up injuring each other. So unfortunately, Nikki does live alone. She has great neighbors. She's got a liger right next to her. She comes up to me when I call. She acts a lot like a dog, and a lot of times visitors or people I'm giving a tour for will say, wow, she's just like your dog. She will come up. A lot of times she will roll over on her back. She's very playful. However, I have to tell them she is not a pet in any way. And though I do love her very much, it's not a great life for her in captivity, and she would be much better off living with a group of lions, and especially living out in the wild, not in an enclosure, and not ever knowing that social interaction that she would have with a whole pride of lions.